You know, doing an introduction is really difficult when you're just looking into a camera. Hello, everyone, um, around the world, really, and I'm dying to know where everyone's from. My name is Nathan Lyon. We're here in Los Angeles, California. By we, I mean also Sarah Foreman, this voice.
Hello?
Sarah Foreman is the person that will let me know what your questions are. And not just questions to me, I am a chef, but questions to the most important person here, I think, which is Mary Eve Brown, clinical oncology dietitian specialist, John Hopkins Kimmel Cancer Center, who is on the run. Is that correct, Mary Eve?
Yeah, I'm in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia right now. So I am below Baltimore, going to North Carolina to meet my new granddaughter.
How amazing is that? That is how dedicated Mary Eve Brown is because it's like a satellite. We're all here together to make sure that we have this wonderful experience. And congratulations, Mary Eve, to you and your family. I think that's fantastic.
Thanks so much. I'm so happy to be here. Yay,
No, it's
technology.
just really good to be back. This is the official fall meals for the stomach cancer patient. Who the heck am I? Just in case you were wondering, you said Shenandoah. I went to school at James Madison University, where I earned a health science degree with a public health minor. Before I moved out here to California, where I completed a course to become a medical technician. I was like, nope. Then I went to Le Cordon Bleu North America, and I worked for farmers for over 15 years. I've been cooking on television for probably the same amount of time. Have a cookbook and an Emmy nomination, and that is our speed dating round one. I hope Mary Eve is still there.
She's
Yeah,
Okay, great.
always.
So we've made it through speed round dating one. So I think that might be it. Yeah. I mean, we've got a lot going on today. Don't worry. I want you to sit back and relax and enjoy this whole process. Ask questions in the middle, be it for cooking. It doesn't have to be what we're doing today. Any cooking questions you have, be sure to ask them. Type it into the chat box. Any questions you have for Mary Eve Brown, same thing. Chat in, and we'll take our time and move through this. So we're going to start with our dance card number one. And I wore this shirt in solidarity with the first dish. Ladies and gentlemen, what's the first dish? It is salmon. I just see the drapes going up, 1970s game show style,
and the salmon coming out.
and the salmon coming up. Flip, 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 flip. We're gonna make a salmon burger with homemade tartar sauce. It's just a wonderful time. Salmon, wild salmon is running right now. It's just wonderful to find. You can find it frozen or fresh in your local grocery store or through your fishmonger. The color is really lovely. I got it with the skin on. I simply took the skin off for today's recipe. You can ask your fishmonger to remove the skin, or you can get it with the skin already off. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and get started. I actually have a cutting board specifically just for this salmon. So I'm going to be chopping the bejeegers out of this salmon in order to make this burger. And then I'll remove that, and we'll have a fresh cutting board underneath. Okay? So let's get started, shall we? Yeah. So what I've done, as I've said, is I've taken the pin bones out, I've taken the skin off, and this has been sandwiched between two ice packs. You want to make sure that whatever seafood you get, you keep it as cold as possible, because think about where seafood comes from. It comes from mostly the ocean, and it is really cold there. And what you'll do is, if you think about your refrigerator, it's cold to us, but to fish and seafood, it's not very cold. So sandwich it between something really, really cold. If you're worried about any sort of health issues, meaning parasites, let's say, you can get sushi grade salmon as well. But this is a very fresh salmon, and we're going to cook it to where it's a safe temperature. So we're good. Mary Eva, I'm going to ask you a couple questions about that, actually.
Well, I want to
Yep.
also just say Amanda's watching from West Sayville, Long Island, New York. And
Okay.
love
Yay.
and
Okay, well, we've got a couple East Coasters. I know that Jen is watching. We're here with us behind the scenes in Chicago. So we've got West Coast, East Coast. Is anyone watching from somewhere outside of the U.S.? Because there usually are a couple zipping around in Europe and in Africa. So I'm going to go ahead and start chopping this salmon up pretty finely. So this is a knife skills class. This is something I just want to go ahead and chop it up to your heart's content, and then we'll talk about, as far as types of fish that you would recommend this for. Because I know that when I've made fish before, Mary Eve, you're like, I want to make sure it's cooked through. safely. I do like 125, 130, but I think you're more of like a 155 cooked all the way through person.
I am above 145. Yep.
Okay,
And
there you
I
go.
know, chef, you that makes you cuckoo because you guys like it kind of undercooked on the chefy side, but on the healthcare side, we need to make sure that we are safe from
Sure.
any foodborne illness. Yep.
I think that's our new T-shirt on the chefy side of things. What do you think about that? So you bring up a very good point. So how do you know that the salmon or fish or whatever you're cooking is up to proper temperature? That is where your digital thermometer comes into play. You know, when I went to culinary school, the chefs were teaching us, you know, for example, a steak or a piece of chicken that you would press a part of your hand, and that's medium rare, and that's medium. Forget about that because everyone's hands are different, everyone's textures are different. A digital thermometer is really going to help us out. And because we're making these into patties, you can still use your digital thermometer to that safe temperature that Mary Eve was discussing. Okay?
Question for both of you.
Oh, hot damn.
Question from a patient. I'm going to have surgery soon, so I'm worried about eating meat and fish. What's the gentlest way to cook salmon? Grilled, baked, poached, for someone with a quote new digestive system.
Okay, well, my answer would be the lowest temperature that you can do. The worst way to cook salmon is directly on the grill. You just char the heck out of it. It just gets really dry and flaky. Um, a chefy way of saying it is sous vide, where you put it in the bag, you get all the air out of it, and you put it in really warm water for like 45 minutes to that perfect temperature. If you don't have one of those, a very low oven temperature is your friend. 275, 300 degrees, nice and low and slow, so where it's still really buttery, even at that safe temperature of 145, 155.
I say poach. I
Poach.
say poach. I say
Okay.
poach. And the other thing I really like that you're doing is grinding meat starts already the process of breaking it down. So, like Chef's doing, he's making a salmon burger. So, ground meat, ground poultry is going to be probably a good start post surgery with any kind of protein like that because it's already broken down to a different degree. I mean, you're going to chew really, really well, but ground is really the place to start.
Excellent.
Yeah, fantastic. That's a great question.
We have Nancy Brown watching from Electric City, Washington.
Woo!
City.
I want to go to
I,
Electric City.
I know, it sounds like fun.
I think
I'm doing this. I'm doing the dodgeball.
oh, we're going to rock down to Electric City with you. I mean, I'm. This is all off the cuff. We're going
Always.
to work on that. We're going to spitball that later on. Okay. So we have the salmon all chopped up, pretty darn fine. I'm going to add a little bit of flavor to this, something that binds it all together. Okay, we're not going to necessarily need an egg, but we're going to need a few things in here. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to get all the flavors in here first before I add the salmon, just to make sure it's nice and equally all mixed together. Okay.
Amanda says, I like to broil my salmon, middle rack, for about 8 minutes.
Okay. Another thing, if you're going to broil it, do the skin side on. The skin is the one thing that's going to protect that salmon from overcooking. So as a chef, what we like to do is we'll have the salmon skin side on, the skin toward the heat source about 85 to 90% of that time through, flipping it for the last 15%, and then just simply pull that skin off, and it's nice and delicious because that skin will help that salmon from not overcooking. So that's a really nice way of doing it as well. All right.
I think
So
people are so afraid sometimes of cooking fish. They don't want to ruin it. So I love that we're having this discussion because it's easy. It's easy. Just don't overcook. I think that's when it gets a little rubbery toughish.
yeah, same thing. There's a lot of fear around chicken as well, where people just cook chicken within an inch of its life and it's just all dry and gnarly. And, you know, I grew up in the 70s, and my mom, she's still a really good cook, but she would cook stuff to the edge of tomorrow. And that's what people did back then. But now we know, you know, if you cook things for low and slow for longer periods of time, it's just as safe. It's like pasteurization. So that you can cook it for a longer period of time at a lower temperature, and it's just as safe with just like blasting the heck out of it with super high temperature.
Question from the DDF team.
Okay.
Does the skin offer any added nutritional value, or is it better to skip it?
That one, I don't know.
I it probably provides a little bit more fat, and salmon's really good in omega-3s, which are anti-inflammatory. Um, I think it's a preference. I eat the skin of everything because a lot of the nutrition is close to the skin. Um, but it's really a if you don't like it, don't eat it. If you like it, eat it.
You know what? That is another T-shirt. We're gonna have a whole wardrobe full of T-shirts of these amazing things that you're coming up with. You actually get the majority of the money, Mary Eve, because
Oh,
you're coming up with all the sayings.
we need a merch department.
Yes, we do.
We do actually. So Mary Eve Brown, one of the things you brought up was omega-3s. Is the body able to assimilate the omega-3s more effectively through, say, salmon or through like a pill, like an omega-3 pill? Because I know that, I've seen studies saying like certain pills are better than other pills. Can you sort of fill me in on that?
That's an awesome question. So you always want to get food first. That's what our body knows. So omega-3s in a pill form, I don't know where that's coming from. There's no governing body over top of that. The government, the FDA doesn't have any bearing on the safety of supplementations. So, a whole food diet is really where you want to get your healthy nutrition from. I do want to say there is a difference between, and we've talked about this, Chef, I know,
Yeah.
farm raised salmon does not have as much omega-3 as wild caught. And that's because the food source, right? So
Yeah.
if I'm a salmon happily living, in the Pacific Northwest, Alaska, I'm eating a very variety of different things. If I'm in a pen and someone's feeding me, I'm getting inferior food. And we want to get superior food.
Yeah.
So wild caught is really where you want to be. And eat omega-3s in fatty fish, in avocados, in olive oil. That's nuts and seeds. That's really where you want to get those omega-3s from.
Okay.
Delicious.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Amanda says the skin's got to be crispy for me. Yes, it has more omega-3s and good fats.
I mean, as a chef, what we've done is you can take the skin off of, say, turkey or chicken or even salmon. And what we do in the chefy world is we'll actually put it between two sheet pans and then cook it to where it's crispy, like almost like glass, where it's shatteringly crispy.
Like a chip.
Like a chip. Oh my gosh. We all need to get together. I really think we do and start cooking together in person. It's going to cost a little more, for sure, but it's going to be really fun. Just the fact that we have this ability through technology is just mind-numbing to me. The fact that one of us is in the Shenandoah, the other isn't. Isn't that crazy? All in real time. I love it.
Love it. Love it.
Okay. So what I have in here, Dijon, I did a little bit of mustard. What I put in there was some fresh thyme and some fresh flat leaf parsley. Salt, pepper, mayonnaise is our binder here, and just a little bit of panko as well, which is the Japanese toasted breadcrumbs, okay? So not too much, just enough to bind this whole thing together. Do you have a specific type of mayo? This is off the cuff. What's your favorite mayo? If you like mayo, Mary Eve, curious.
Are you using Dukes? Are you using Dukes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. There we go.
This is kind of funny. I've been getting into Japanese mayonnaise.
Oh, I love a Kewpie mayo.
Yeah. Kewpie's nice.
Yeah, Kewpie.
It's a different color and also a different flavor as well. It brings a lot to the game. So one of the things that we like to do here is we like to do as much in real time, because then I get to say, unless you talk as much as I do, being the youngest of three boys, you can make these dishes faster than when I'm making them here. And that's actually a reality. So we have all this flavor here, wonderful texture as far as the panko, the mayo, some acidity from that lemon juice, a lot going on here. So I'm just going to mix these two things together, okay?
Question from DDF. What are some good alternatives to panko for people who can't eat gluten but would like a nice crunch to eat? Well, there's gluten-free, right?
There is a gluten-free panko that's out there, for sure. And, a nice crunch. Could you maybe, I don't know, I'm thinking, first thing I thought, just because Mary Eve just said the word, like nuts, maybe some seeds or some nuts that might give it a nice little texture in there, some sesame seeds or something along those lines. I'm not sure, but yeah, they definitely have a gluten-free panko or panko that's out there.
Do you need
I'm
panko? Sorry, go ahead,
I'm
Mary.
thinking rice crackers.
Mm.
Who's from Baltimore?
Great idea.
I'm thinking,
Yeah,
crush up rice crackers.
It's so smart.
and that's fantastic. I love
We
that
have
idea.
Esther watching from Markham, Ontario, Canada.
Hey, thank
Yay!
goodness.
And
Yay!
Amanda likes Hellman's or Duke and just discovered AO, which is a new line of flavored mayonnaises.
Heyo.
AO.
I'm
We're
also a
doing a lot of.
Hellman's girl too. So
All right, it can't go wrong. But that is the binding agent in this. We don't need egg. The interesting thing about egg is a lot of times the egg white, when you cook an egg white as opposed to egg yolk, the egg white gets really firm because of that protein, right? But we don't need it to be firm. We still want it to be nice and soft and luscious and unctuous because there is a fair amount of fat in this, which is really, really nice. Okay. So normally what I would do is I would have a bowl with ice in this if I were to make this later on today and to cover it and keep it really, really cold on ice. We're going to go ahead and make, let's just say one, okay? It's just Sarah and myself here with our long-haired mini dachshund little guy. So I'm going to make one of these and we can make him the rest of them later on, okay?
I was thinking that one is for him. And
Oh, one is
we'll feed ourselves later.
priorities are priorities. So,
hey, chef,
yeah,
how many ounces of salmon did you start with?
1
Do you
pound.
know?
Yeah,
1 pound.
I
Okay.
did a pound. Yeah.
Okay.
So what'll happen is
And this will make 4.
well, it depends upon the size also because one of the things that I like to do to save myself time in the kitchen is I use my hands a lot, clearly, but instead of getting the ruler out, this is going to be approximately 3 inches by 1 inch. And the reason why I did that measurement is one, it's small. I know that people don't want to be overpowered with too much food because that's not very good for the stomach cancer patient. So this is a nice little size. Yeah. And it's going to cook uniformly as well. So this is exactly 3 inches wide, right, by 1 inch. And I know this because my pinky is exactly 3 inches and one of my little knuckles is exactly 1 inch. I don't recommend all day measuring different body parts like earlobes and noses, but hands are good to have. So I'm going to go ahead and put this here. And one of the things, being from Baltimore, I know you know this, Mary Eve, is crab cakes. I'm going to have a little panko on the side. Then I'm going to give it just a little extra zhuzh, a nice gentle push in there. And again, I am from Virginia, so we do have, the Maryland and Virginia blue crab, which is really lovely to have. And this is going to sit right here while I heat up some oil in a pan behind me. I'm using grapeseed oil today. I've done some reading about grapeseed oils and how some people don't like them, some people are neutral about them. What do you think about different types of oil?
Oils.
Seed oil. This is grapeseed oil. What have you heard, Mary?
I love grapeseed oil. It's got a high smoke point, so it's perfect for any application where you need a high heat. And you didn't want to use avocado. So yep, grapeseed. Yep. The other kind of like walnut oil. I mean, there's so many oils that you can get from nuts and seeds. Use them all, but use them appropriately in the right application if you're going to heat.
So what is this hoopla on the seed oils? Because now here in California, there's restaurants that say no seed oil in any of our cooking.
I don't know what that means.
Okay.
I don't know.
I don't either. I know, like, because there's cottonseed oil, and I guess that's supposed to be very bad.
Oh, maybe. But like canola is rapeseed. So I don't know.
They're not, I mean, these restaurants, from what I understand, they're not using any of that. And if they have fries, they'll, use the beef tallow fries or duck fat fries. So
I think that's worse.
really?
Tallow,
Yeah,
saturated fat.
interesting.
I mean, being from Maryland, peanut oil is a great thing to fry a French fry in. Do you know what I'm talking about, Boardwalk?
Okay, so I'm going to put this off to the side. I've cooked and cut all the salmon stuff on here. I have a fresh cutting board and a brand new knife. This is the most gigantic knife that I just found. It's amazingly huge. You don't have to have a gigantic knife. So now what I want to do is make some homemade tartar sauce. Now, tartar sauce does have some interesting ingredients in it, one of which being mayonnaise, but it also has cornichon and it has capers. What are your views on cornichon and capers as far as an application for the stomach cancer patient, Mary Eve.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be hard to digest. If you're in treatment and having upset tummy, they're going to be hard to digest if you're soon after gastrectomy.
Okay.
But if you're far out from treatment and you're doing good, I love a cornichon and a caper.
Okay. So we have an answer.
Chef, wait. And so this is my thought, is if I do want that flavor, I could just use the brine off of the caper or the brine off of the cornichon in my recipe.
You just saved me from having to say the exact same thing. I swear we're made from the same cloth.
We are twins.
We are just twinsies. Yeah, I have the little liquid that's in there, and it does taste exactly like capers, and this liquid does taste exactly like cornichon. It keeps it nice and smooth. It's a wonderful flavor. It has good acidity, and of course we have the fat from the mayonnaise. We have the lemon juice. I like to add a little bit of white wine vinegar in my tartar sauce to bring in a little bit of sweetness, whereas lemon juice just has that wonderful acidity, that punch of lemon, but white wine vinegar will have a little bit of sweetness. I'm going to go ahead and just do the liquid here. Boom. Because you can always add the cornichon. If you're a provider or if you're a family member that wants that, it's nice to always have on the side, chop it, and save that for yourself off to the side. Okay? So that is there. Dill. Of course, we all love fresh herbs here. So I'm going to go ahead and add some fresh dill. Chop that up. Does anyone not like dill? It's funny, is I used to not like dill. And now I love dill in certain applications. I just think it's wonderful.
It's so easy to grow. It's a weed.
There you go. And a lot of weeds have the most nutritional value out there, you know?
They do. They do. They're phytonutrient packed.
There's a reason why they survive so well. I have absolutely walked up in people's gardens, and I know they're organic gardeners and they don't put stuff on their lawns. And I've walked right past their whole yard, and I see a dandelion, I'll rip it right up and shove it in the old gullet because it's so nutritious. I mean, it's a dandelion. I just saved myself 50 cents from going to the grocery store. I think that's pretty good. So we'll do some salt, right? And a little bit of pepper. And our tartar sauce is ready. So I've made homemade tartar sauce in the same amount of time that it took to warm up the pan over medium heat for just a couple minutes behind me, okay? Just a splash of the grapeseed oil. I think we're ready for this now. And it's only 90 seconds on both sides, okay? That's all we got going on here.
90 seconds, flip, 90 seconds.
90 seconds, flip, 90 seconds.
And then Esther just asked about the spelling of the other ingredients in the tartar sauce, so I threw it in the chat, capers and cornichon.
Cornichon. There we go. Okay.
Oh, I have a camera for that.
So you've got a nice gentle sizzle happening here.
Here, move it aside so you can see in the pan.
Oh, you got it.
There you go.
You see that?
See a little bit, yeah.
So we're getting a little bit of texture, which is nice.
You're back here.
Oh, a little bit of texture, which is nice. The medium heat. You could probably get maybe 3 or 4 of those salmon patties in there. You don't want to go too much more than that because, as we all know, if you load up with too many things in the same pan, the temperature of the pan goes down pretty rapidly, unless you're using a much more sturdy or bigger pan like cast iron, which could be great as far as nutrition as well. Yeah, I know that Mary Eve and I love our cast iron, but this is something that's really nice. I only use nonstick, medium heat, pretty much or less, and no metal gets anywhere near that. So I use it for eggs and very delicate things like this, which is the salmon patty. Okay, so I'm gonna have my plate ready. It's probably been close to 90 seconds. What do you think? Here we are. Yeah. And then this, I like to have this on the side as well. It's almost like our real restaurant, right? We have a little side with a paper towel ready to sop up any extra oil that we don't need. Keep this nice and crispy.
I'm gonna put on the other camera, so yeah, now we can see the flip.
All set?
Mhm.
And you'll notice, there we go. And you notice that I moved it to a different part of the pan. So that one little spot sort of sucked up all the heat from that salmon cake, but the rest of the pan is still really hot. So whenever you're flipping something, go ahead and flip it to a different part of the pan. be it a burger or a piece of chicken or vegetables. And it's nice just to utilize all the heat that's built up in the entire pan rather than just putting it in the exact same spot. You won't get that nice pop of heat and that color on this cake. Okay. So things are happening. Anything happening? Back to you, Mary Eve, and the Shenandoah on the way to New York. All still good in your rest area?
North Carolina, North Carolina.
Sorry. I mean, it's a very large
Keep
apple.
up, keep up, chef, keep up.
Exactly.
This is perfect. So we've got, can you see that?
Oh, you're here.
Okay. I mean, that's good color. It's pretty nice. It's really crispy. We've made it all in real time. Just set this off to the side. Bob's your uncle, ready to go. Okay. So we can do a couple of things. We can get our little white flour burger bun. We can make ourselves a little burger, which would be, a nice leaf lettuce like this, very delicate lettuce, nothing too hearty. Or you can go ahead and make it into a little salad. Or if you have the larger leaf lettuce, like a red leaf or a green leaf, you can actually just go without the burger bun. Okay. So I'm going to do a little of everything here because I know that Mary Eve is got to be kind of hungry hitting the road like that.
Or it could just be the salmon patty by itself, guys, right? So
Or just by itself.
Yep, if I have a tiny little tummy right now, or if I have no tummy and I can't hold much, just have it by itself. You don't need to have a bun. You don't have to have anything else.
That's right.
And I always tell my people, eat your protein first, because that's what you need.
That's right. Which is so interesting because from my background, which is very specific, I always say Americans always eat the protein first because when you look at the plate, it's usually like a steak or a piece of chicken and vegetables off to the side. And this, you sort of turn it on its head to make sure you get enough protein in your diet, and then everything else is secondary. So that's a great point. So this is our talking bun. Is that right? Is that right? All in real time, made to order. So whoever wants one of these, just go ahead and send Sarah a message, and we will FedEx them as quickly as possible around the U.S. Okay. So this is our burger. Pretty good, and it's not too big. You can store the rest on ice in the fridge, and it sounds really lovely. All right. So our burger's done. So number one is done. So I think I'm done with this shirt. So I'm going to just go ahead and tear it away to our next color.
We need that.
What is that?
The costume change.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like tear away pants. All right. So next, this is great, guys. Thank you for your wonderful questions. We like questions. This is a fall menu we have going on here. So we're just right on the cusp of end of summer. Depending on where you are, Washington State, Chicago, starting to get crisp in the morning. So we might see things like beets or carrots. And that's where we'll go ahead and just potatoes. It sounds like a nice little borscht-ish type of thing that we're going to go ahead and do. What I've done here is just to make sure I don't look like I've butchered a few small farm animals in my kitchen. You can actually see a little bit of red still on my hands. I went ahead and peeled these beets, red beets, and I've peeled a couple of these carrots. Okay, Sarah will have the recipe for you, so no need to write all this stuff down.
Once you register through Debbie's Dream Foundation, you
Yes.
get a booklet with all these recipes.
Right,
It's
perfect.
wonderful. Question with that regarding the salmon.
Yes.
What sides or toppings would you recommend to support digestion and avoid reflux?
Oh.
If you were going to add a little side to that.
That's a great question. Mary Eve?
I would say white rice would go really well with that. And rice is so easy to digest. It's one of the easier things on the planet that we do digest fairly well. I think of maybe a potato with that, just a simple baked potato or mashed potato with that. I think you could, if you wanted to, it could be a pasta like an orzo, like a small pasta, a pastini or an orzo. I think that would go really well with it too.
Orzo is that's a great idea. That's it's a really simple, small pasta to make. White orzo is really lovely. And of course, you could also spice it up a little bit. You could do a little turmeric and fresh ginger with that rice. That sounds like something that would be nice to do.
Sounds lovely.
Okay. See, we're getting on the bandwagon here. Those are great questions. Again, I'm so thrilled that we have something that Mary Eve and I can just pass the carrot baton between ourselves and run with these answers. So,
Melanie suggests sweet potato.
oh,
Sweet potato.
Hey, I love a good sweet potato. And we were talking about sweet potatoes just because I think the last cooking demo we talked about the different color sweet potatoes, which reminds me, Mary Eve, I know that beets come in at least 4 colors. Is there one color that might be better as far as nutrition than another color?
So as you're doing this, I'm going, oh, golden beets would have went really nice with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
The, um, the different colors of different vegetables give you different phytonutrient profiles. So a golden beet's going to have a different phytonutrient profile than a red beet. I know there are candy stripe beets,
Yes.
right? What's the
Well,
other? So I know candy stripe, I know golden, and I know red. What's the other? You said 4.
I believe there's a white beet as well.
Oh,
Yippee!
okay. So
Yeah.
so white things have the alleles in them, orange and yellow have the carotenoids in them. So and the red have lycopene. So really, it's not like which one, it's getting the variety of color. So I thought, oh, golden would go really well with that orange, but they kind of have the same phytonutrient profile. So by doing the red beet with the orange, you got 2 different colors going on right there.
For sure.
Question for Mary Eve. For those of us that are now suffering from reactive hypoglycemia, what would you suggest?
So the key with managing blood sugar is making sure you have protein and carbohydrates together. That's really the key, that you're not just doing a carbohydrate by itself. When you do a carbohydrate just by itself, the blood sugar is going to go up and then it's going to drop pretty significantly. When you add the protein in there, it slows down the digestion, so you get an even rise and fall to blood sugar. So you're avoiding spikes and then you're avoiding lows.
Then another question, can beet fiber support gut health post-gastrectomy, or is it too rough for some patients?
Actually, beets are okay. They have to be really well cooked, like chef's making a soup, I'm assuming. But I roast them and then use them in salads and cooking and that kind of thing. So yeah, they've got to be really well cooked, soft. But beets are great. So I think that question also leads me to another thing about the microbiome of our gut, right? So microbiome of gut is where our immune system is. It's where different properties are made. And what people talk about is probiotics, but what we really, really should be talking about is prebiotics. So prebiotics are what our microbiome live on, and that is plants. So when we get an abundance of different plants in our diet, we have a healthier microbiome than if we don't. And the microbiome is fascinating, and we're just at the tip of the iceberg of the whole thing.
Yeah. Actually, Sarah and I did something called Fiber 14 that we'd worked on in a tiny lakeside cabin in Maine, as one does. And we had just talked about the different types of foods that have fiber and how you can make, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So most Americans are just woefully low in fiber. I know this is definitely not the case here in this particular group, but the fact that the body needs certain nutrients and that work synergistically with other nutrients is just such a fascinating thing to me.
Yeah, and fiber can be hard for us with not a stomach or going through treatment, and that's okay, right? So there are fruits and vegetables that are on the lower fiber end, like the beets and the carrots and the green beans, and so you can still get plants if you're having a problem with fiber. So just because it's a plant doesn't mean that it can't work for you.
That's right. One of the things you talked about just now, Mary Eve, is the different preparations of beets, for example, or carrots. And one of the things I like to do is if I have some leftover carrots from the farmer's market, what I'll do is I'll take some stock, like chicken stock, maybe a little bit of butter, and just go ahead and cook a lot of carrots down in such a small amount of liquid, and then just blend it into like a puree and serve a piece of fish or chicken over top of that. And it's just so elegant, and it's literally a one-step thing that you have to do, which is put it in the food processor or in a blender, and it's just this sauce is like this. It's got so much flavor in it, and it has a lot of protein because you can always add, meat stock to it if you wanted to. Chicken stock, which is really lovely as far as the flavor, and then have a protein on top of that. I think it's just a wonderful, very easeful way in order to get a lot of protein in your diet. There we go.
Hey, chef, can you freeze that?
Freeze what?
The carrot.
When
nut.
you
Oh,
blend it,
100%.
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Because once it's pureed, it's just not going to separate. If you wanted to put a little bit of, butter into it and you knew you were going to freeze it, then what I would do is I would let it thaw, warm it up, and then finish it with the butter, because that helps emulsify the sauce. But it's just a wonderful, lovely, silky texture. That's just, I just can't get enough of it, only because it's just an easeful thing. A lot of people think that because we're chefs, that we just enjoy cooking and cleaning and doing dishes all day, every day. I assure you that it's not the case. So we like a pretty simple and easeful recipe as well. And you can see,
Yeah. So
I'm a classically trained chef, and look at these knife skills. I'm all over the place here, but I know that it's going to go ahead and go in with this stock that I'm going to add very shortly. And as long as it's cooked through, which it will be, this is just having fun. And that's what I want people to really get connected with, is just having fun, not taking on too much in the kitchen. Even though we're doing 4 different dishes today, you can just do one at a time. It's not
yeah.
necessary that this serves as a meal. Just take your time and really enjoy the process to the best of your ability. All right. So what I have going on behind me, as you saw,
One of
beets,
what
please.
Go ahead.
I was
Nate.
just saying, one of the things I've been doing lately is I've been telling my patients, when you come home from the hospital and you've had your stomach removed, you're like eating like little tiny bits. And I had a bunch of stuff left over, and I'm like, oh, I want to freeze this, but I didn't want to freeze it in a big container. So I went to the dollar store and I bought ice cube trays. And I
Nice.
started freezing things in ice cube trays. And then once they're frozen, I popped them out into bigger bags. So I had like roasted red peppers that I blended, like a harissa. I had a bunch of different little things. So guys, think about it. If this is your case and you can get some ice cube trays and freeze things in little bits, it's going to go farther for you than trying to freeze something in a big container that you probably want to pull out and defrost.
For sure.
So smart.
I know that fresh herbs, people do that a lot, with homemade stock. If you go to the store and you get a whole rotisserie chicken, there's just a lot of opportunity to take old flaccid vegetables, that have a lot of flavor in them, and then cook it down for about 2 hours. That's your homemade stock. And then you'll just go ahead and cool that down, put it in those ice cubes. And now you've got like an instant sauce that we were talking
Yep.
about. Just go ahead and
Yep.
throw an ice cube of fresh chicken stock, and you've already paid for it. I dislike paying for things and then putting it out in the compost if it still has a little something that I can eke out to make a meal more flavorful for me, right?
Yep. Yep. I've been really getting into rhubarb this summer. I have an organic farmer that showed up at my farmer's market in my hometown, and rhubarb. I'm like, dude, you have rhubarb in August? Because it's been a weird summer. And so I made a jam out of it, and then I froze them in, ice cube trays so I can pop them into smoothies, or I can pop them into a tart or a crumble. Yeah, rhubarb.
I mean, he's off by about half a season, but you're exactly right. We're here in Southern California. It's been probably the last month, it's been about an average of 10 to 12 degrees below average. And where we used to live in Austin, it hasn't gone above 100, I think, but once. If you're not used to 100-degree temperatures in Austin, it goes way, way, way above that, which is one of the reasons why I moved back here.
Jen from PBS says for freezing meals, there are trays in the baby section for freezing baby food. So
There we go, Jen.
That's a
That's
great
good.
place to
Jen.
look. Smart thinking.
Okay.
So what have you done, Nathan?
Okay, so this is what I've done. I started with the beet and also the carrot, and I did a little bit of olive oil, put that in there, and I wanted to start cooking down because that takes a little bit longer to cook than the potatoes, which is what I added next, let's say second. What I've just done is I've taken better than bouillon, which is what our favorite stock is. Doesn't take up a lot of room, has a lot of wonderful flavor if I'm not using homemade. And then I put that in with the water. I don't like washing dishes. I may have mentioned that just seconds ago. A lot of people will take their instant stock, fill up a container with water, and then put the stock in there and mix it up. I think it's okay just to put the better than bouillon just directly in there and then add the water. And now I have my clean container. I also put in a bay leaf. I'm going to bring this to a simmer and cook that down for maybe 20, 25 minutes until it's cooked through. And then we'll move forward. Because we don't have the luxury of having each other for that much time, we did make one earlier today, okay? And that's already warmed through, so we're gonna go ahead and plate that up. Does that sound good? Okay,
That sounds good to me.
here we go. So I'm going to push this one back over here. This one comes forward. And depending upon where you are, depending upon where you are, maybe it's not cold enough to start thinking about this, but once that first cold snap comes into play, there's nothing better than like having a warm soup, when it's really cold outside. I just love it. So this is a colorful extravaganza. It's just beautiful.
It's kind of borscht-y.
It's very borscht-y. Nothing is borscht-y than the borscht. Here we go. So this,
And we could use bone broth if you guys need to get the protein in. And I don't know what you're going to top it with, but I have an idea about that too.
oh, we've got ideas. Well, you've already seen one of the things, which is dill, which is kind of important. We also have sour cream, for those of you that like sour cream. Are there any of us that don't like sour cream? I mean, maybe there could be some of us that don't like sour cream. Could be. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a little sour cream, okay, right on top of there. And then I'm gonna go ahead and do a bit of salt and pepper, which is always really nice to have on top of that.
And the dill.
And a little bit of dill. And again,
And I thought Greek yogurt.
Oh, yeah.
Greek yogurt's great. All right, you don't always have to chop things up with a knife. I think it's okay to hand tear things. So when you get a bite of that dill, it's very refreshing.
Very, very pretty.
And that's got to be
So
pretty.
pretty.
It's
So
got to be
pretty.
pretty nutritive, yeah? I mean, there's a lot of nutrients in there. I know there's a lot of water-soluble and fat-soluble vitamins, but because we didn't rinse any of this, we didn't dump any of the liquid, all of it's still in there, so all the goodness is still kept in there. And also, Sarah and I were talking about this morning. If you wanted to have more protein and you had some chicken left over, you had some ground beef or had some ground pork, you could actually add this to this, and it would be amazing. So you have extra protein going on there. The question being, if you have protein, is there a particular balance that we're looking for with like protein or vegetables, or is there a magic number for this particular group?
Oh, that's such a good question. So people who are undergoing, cancer treatment, people in recovery need double fold protein than others.
Wow.
And so we go by your kilos. So typically adults 0.6 to 0.8 grams per kilo of body weight. And you figure out your kilos by taking your weight in pounds, dividing it by 2.2. In treatment and recovery, it's 1.2 to 1.5 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. So that's why I was saying eat your protein first, because you so need that protein. And so what I normally say, well, let's say I need 60 grams a day and I'm going to eat 6 times, get 10 grams each time I eat.
And one of the things that I learned from you is that the body can only assimilate so much protein at once, correct?
Correct. It's about 30 grams you want to, you could hit for. If you're going north of that, it's not going to be used the same way for repair and recovery. It'll be used for energy. But I like this thought of how much do I need in a day? And if I'm eating so many meals, how much of that is at each meal?
And if you're doing 30 grams at a time, how much time do you need to wait in between? Does it need to be digested a couple hours and then you can do it again?
Yeah, 2 to 3
Okay.
is a good hallmark of eating.
Fascinating. Jen says, I love soups because you can add so much to it based on your own personal dietary needs. You can add meats, cheeses, sour cream, or Greek yogurt, but you can also add protein powder or MCT oil for added calories/proteins.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Yep.
So all the fun little things that I'm running over there like a church mouse and doing over there, you had said, different types of ways to get protein in here. We always like to make sure we have a protein smoothie available for people and something a little bit different. Today is like the homage to summer going away and then fall coming in. So this is our tropical, still in a short sleeve shirt weather type of thing to enjoy that.
A tropical smoothie.
A tropical smoothie. But I realize that there are a lot of types of fruits that the cancer patient cannot have, but that doesn't mean that you can't have the tropical fruit liquid. So there's the sort of like the flavors we talked about earlier, Mary Eve, that you nailed on, where you can get the flavor of the cornichon or the flavor of the caper. This is the flavor of the tropical fruit, no added sugar. I'm hoping that's an okay thing because we never talked about it.
Perfect.
Great, thank goodness. We have a
Perfect.
banana in there. We have yogurt as well. I also have full fat coconut milk that's in there. You can add, of course, your protein powder of choice, which I would highly recommend. Ice if you want to. We're not going to do it because of sound, if you want it to be nice and cold. And what you missed was a dollop of the biggest chunk of freshly grated ginger you've ever seen in your life. So you've got a lot of tropical stuff, a lot of nutrition, good stuff for the gut health. So I'm going to blend that up and a touch of vanilla extract for added flavor for those of you that like a little bit of vanilla. Okay, so I'll go ahead and get started on that. Here we go. Is there a certain, because you talked about the amount of protein an individual has to have. What about fat? Is there too much fat? Because I have whole milk dairy that's in there. I have maybe half a can of the whole fat coconut cream. Are there times where we shouldn't have so much fat in a particular dish?
That's a great question. So if you're going through treatment and you've got a queasy tummy or you're having diarrhea or you're stewing out of, any kind of surgery, fats can make digestion worse. So if you're queasy and you eat a fried food, you're more likely to get sick. If I'm having diarrhea and I eat a fried food, more likely to have more diarrhea. So there are times when fat is not your friend, but we need fat in our diet. There are these things called essential fatty acids that we can't make ourselves. We have to eat them. It's about 25 to 30% of your calories should come from fat. But again, you want them to come from the healthy fats, right?
Okay.
So we just talked about them earlier when we got together about, the omega-3s. So I don't recommend like deep fried kinds of things, but using healthy fats. Can I add an avocado to that smoothie to increase the calories and the omega-3s? So yeah.
Okay.
And then Jen asked, do you have tips for both of you for reducing acidity in smoothies without losing that bright tropical flavor?
Acidity. I mean, just the amount of fat.
Reduce the acidity, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. But the amount of fat that's in there, I'm hoping would be more of a protective. I mean, we didn't add lemon juice, we didn't add orange juice or anything like that. There's mostly dairy in here, and of course you have that full fat from the coconut milk. I'm not sure how much acidity is there in there. I mean, maybe because there's apple juice, there could be some acidity. I like whatever juice is in there, natural juice that keeps it in there. Mary Eve, what do you think? Reducing acidity in smoothies, just in general.
Yeah, from the ingredients that you just shared with us, I don't think that's very acidic. I think of more acidic coming from the citrus, like you mentioned, tomatoes. So I don't think of that as being highly acidic as well.
Okay. Well, I think it depends upon the individual patient, yeah, and what they
That's
can
true.
tolerate.
That is absolutely true.
But I think, I mean, for those of you that are new or have never heard this, the reason why I'm actually here with Debbie's Dream Foundation is because of the incredible Hans Rufert that used to work for you guys. A lot of you watching at home, a lot of you that I met in DC know him very well. And he is just an anomaly. He's also quite different. A lot of you that I met can have a plate of fried chicken. It's credible. And then a lot of you absolutely cannot. He can have an espresso shot and a lot of people can't. So it just depends upon the individual and what works for you. And sometimes what works in the morning doesn't work necessarily for the evening. So it's just this sort of moving target. And I think something like this, if you're okay with fat and added that protein powder, I think that's a pretty good way of getting calories and protein in at the same time. Dessert, anyone?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Boom. Well, you're on the road like Mary Eve, right from the cops. You need to make sure you have something sweet on the way. So we're going to make something like, we're going to take advantage of another fruit, which is canned peaches. We're going to make like an homage to a strawberry shortcake, if you will, but we're going to use peaches and whipped cream and deliciousness like that. What I have behind me, you see this okay? Mm-hmm. Okay, so in here, I already have baking powder, a little bit of sugar, some salt, and all-purpose flour. And all I'm going to do, I've already done it, just sort of pulse that into where it's mixed together. Next to it is butter chopped up right out of the fridge. You want this to be cold. If you've ever been lucky enough to have a grandparent or a parent that made homemade biscuits, they do it with their fingers. My hands are like oven mitts. They're so hot. So I don't do very well when it comes to things with butter, but a food processor actually streamlines that process pretty well. So the butter's very cold. I actually put it in the freezer last night, so it's probably cold right now. I'm going to put it in there and chop it up into what's a little bit larger than pea size, and we'll move on here. Do you enjoy a little buttermilk biscuit, Mary Eve? Something tells me you do.
I don't say no to biscuits at all, whether they're buttermilk or not.
Oh
My
goodness.
mom, my mom, God bless her, she's 90. Um, growing up, we always had biscuits. She was raised by a Southern cook. So I had a friend come over and tell like, what is that? I'm like, it's a biscuit. You never had a biscuit? Growing up near DC, yes, she would make them from scratch.
Well, they're nice to have around, I think the texture is really light and lovely. It wouldn't be a buttermilk biscuit without buttermilk. I think your buttermilk's gone bad, Nathan. It hasn't gone bad. What I do is I'll whisk one egg, and then I'll go ahead and put it in with the buttermilk with this particular spout because I'm not sure if you're like me where you'll have a bowl. You're like, I need a bowl. You grab a bowl and you whisk it and then you try to put it down that little tiny chute. It's not going to work super well. So if I whisk the egg, mix it with the buttermilk in here, it makes my life a lot easier as I'm streaming it into this food processor. As it's mixing, this is going to be a little bit more rough and tumble. Step one just coats the flour with butter so it doesn't develop that gluten, so it's still nice and airy and light. Step two is to hydrate it and still gets a little bit of leavening and fluffiness in there. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and run this for probably 25 to 30 seconds as I'm streaming it in. And a little ball, a sort of a loose ball is gonna form around there. We're gonna move on to the next step. Okay, here we go.
Happening.
I have such confidence, I'm not even there. Okay, okay, okay. Okay, there we go.
I'm sure Mary Eve's mom was doing this by hand.
All
Yeah,
by hand, all by hand.
yeah.
Cooked in the oven in a cast iron skillet
Oh,
with butter.
I I feel like I failed your mom. Can you cut the stream? Just cut the stream. I just don't feel like I'm doing very well. Okay, here we go. So next up, we have a sheet pan with a little bit of parchment paper. Do you want that? Yeah.
perfect.
Sarah wants a little bit of a sip.
I'm gonna safeguard it.
With parchment paper, what you remember with your mom, and there's wonderful times with your mom, is you would cut it in with the butter and you would mush it with your fingers, or you would have that little cutting apparatus. It looked like, I don't know, like a seesaw with 5 or 6 tines in it. You would just smush it through to get to that point, and you would just very gently mix the liquid in there. What we've done, the 2025 version of that and bang the whole thing out. And then we are going to measure it out with a 1/3 cup measuring cup. Okay. So what I'm going to do to make life a little bit easier on myself is I'm going to take a little bit of pan and just spray it in like that. And that way it'll come out a little bit easier. I'll take a spoon, pop it in there, measure it out. Bob's your uncle, and we'll just keep doing this. Okay. Smush it in there, level it off, just like Mary Eve's mom would do, and bingo. That's looking pretty good. Okay. I'll just go ahead and do one more. And then you get the idea. We'll go ahead and pop this in the oven, but not before that last little extra zhuzh that I think makes things a little more special. And we also have a little bit left over, and that is,
The buttermilk,
yeah, the buttermilk. Where did I put that?
is it right there?
Ah, here it is right here.
Mhm.
So a little bit of buttermilk. So this is the buttermilk with the egg and just a little bit on top. And that's what helps with a little bit of browning, which is nice. If you want to hit it with a touch of sugar on top of that to crisp it up, you're welcome to do that. But this is what you would do. You don't have them too close. It doesn't make too many, probably 6. Go ahead and pop in your oven, middle rack. And again, you'll get this recipe, so you don't have to write any of this stuff down until it puffs up and it's nice and brown on the top. And that's just a lovely sight. There's nothing better than when you're walking into a house or your neighbors walk by when your windows are open and they're like, what is going on in that house? It just smells so good. So this is gonna go ahead, pop in the oven at 425. Of course, when it comes out, this is what you have. You would slice it open. You have to have a certain amount of awareness because when people like Sarah come in and you're trying to work on this and a hand comes in from the side, you have to be ready. You have to be ready to do a chop like that. Or if her sister's here, you have to be ready to chop like that. So you really need to be on your toes when you're making baked goods, all right?
What makes buttermilk biscuit a better base for a shortcake than a sponge cake?
Oh boy, a sponge cake, those are two completely different methods as far as baking. Buttermilk will also bring a certain amount of acidity that will soften the crumb. And buttermilk also has that acidity, which actually helps leaven it when you put the baking powder in there. A sponge cake doesn't necessarily have that. You can make a sponge cake with just egg whites and then fold that in. It doesn't necessarily have a chemical leavener. This is a great question. If I haven't said so before, Chef Nathan Lyon on Instagram, those are great. It's a great place where Sarah and I are drinking coffee, answering questions just like this. And any question you have like that, we'll just take offline and then we can do one-on-one for the rest. But I think we're less than 4 minutes. So forgive me for not really diving in deep to answering that question. I do have whipped cream. If you're not into whipped cream, you have some creme fraiche. You could whip that, or just, like you were saying, Greek yogurt or a regular.
Greek yogurt.
That's
Yeah.
perfect. You do Greek yogurt. I'm going to do some whipped cream because I whipped it earlier. Do a little dollop on there. Okay. Then I could leave one dolloped free. That's not a very good t-shirt, but sounds good. All right. And then put your peaches on there. And you lean that little bad boy up like that.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right?
That's beautiful.
You can do right side up, upside down, whatever you got. When Sarah wants to.
Well, I just have you.
Oh, I thought she was ready to take a bite. That would just be a messy little. Okay, it doesn't mean you have to make all these things at once, but we did make quite a bit. All of them quite beautiful, nutritive. They look kind of nice. We have the salmon burger as well, or just the salmon patty you can serve inside the delicate greens that we talked about. We did make the homemade sauce. We have the whipped cream. We've got this wonderful protein tropical smoothie. We've got a lot going on. Everyone else has a lot going on as well, meaning you've got Jen in Chicago, we've got Sarah and I here, we've got Mary Eve running from the law somewhere in North Carolina, who's kind enough to slow down. And we have you all. You all have asked these wonderful, wonderful questions that mean a lot to us. And the fact that you would allow us, this ragtag team of Debbie's Dream Foundation people, help guide your process, which is not an easy one, through and have these wonderful questions. It's not lost on us. So thank you for allowing us to monopolize an hour of your time. Thank you so much to Mary Eve Brown for your time and answering these questions, your wealth of knowledge. Thanks to Sarah Foreman for taking these questions and having this wonderful relationship. Of course, Debbie's Dream Foundation, thank you so much for allowing us this. Jen, who's up in Chicago with a nice brisk morning. I think it's like 54 degrees up there. And we couldn't do this at all without the sponsors.
Well, and Nancy says everything looks delicious. I can't wait to make them. Thanks so much. Always enjoy and learn something.
Okay, really, really.
Oh, thank you.
This again, it's an homage to fall. A lot of these things freeze super well. And any questions you have, keep them coming. For social media, or have these things written down for the next time we do them. Okay. So what do you think?
I think we're in a good spot.
I've always.
Bye, Mary.
I'm always pulling back the tears because I never like to say goodbye, but we can say hello next time. And again, thank you so much. And here are our sponsors that make all this possible. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a lovely fall and a delicious day. See you guys.
Bye, guys.